Well, that was certainly a fun episode. Today we're talking about Fight Fighters, the 10th episode of the first season of Gravity Falls, if I'm not mistaken. I had to type out what episode it was like 50 times for the tags of my live blog, and I still can't remember what episode it was. It was good. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as some of the past episodes because I didn't feel like it tied into things as much. Like, the journal wasn't used or mentioned at all in this episode. At best, we got an idea of a different kind of weirdness that can exist in this town in the form of the magic cheat code written on the Fight Fighters video game at the local arcade, the one that Dipper uses to bring one of the characters to life. But that was it. And I'm sorry to notice that there are more episodes like this than I originally expected there to be, episodes that don't involve the journal at all, that just sort of draw attention to the general weirdness of this location. And I don't mind that at all, because those episodes tend to focus on the characterization. The plot of this episode is pretty simple. Mabel finds out that Stan is afraid of heights and tries to cure him of that all throughout the background, while Robbie, who is still dating Wendy, realizes that Dipper has a crush on her and challenges him to a fight, but Seuss had taken them to the arcade earlier, and so Dipper goes back there to play Fight Fighters and unwind. Fight Fighters being a Street Fighter-esque video game. Finds the cheat code and realizes he can bring one of the characters to life to fight Robbie for him and teach him not to bother him anymore. So he chooses the hero of the game, and the rest of the episode there was character stuff in there, but it was mostly making fun of video game tropes, specifically fighting game and beat-em-up tropes. The hero of the game, for example, doesn't fit at all within Dipper's world. I mean, the pixel art looks surprisingly good in the world of Gravity Falls, but this character with his simplistic motivations and his simplistic actions can't understand where Dipper is coming from when he tells him what he wants him to do, or why he wants him to do it. It's almost as if the simplicity of this trope-heavy genre of game has programmed this guy to only be able to respond in a few certain ways. It was really cool because it really showed how unrealistic the stories in this type of games are, because the stories in a beat-em-up game are really just excuses to get the characters fighting each other. The stories in tournament-style fighting games are really only there to get the characters fighting each other. And there were all kinds of great background references in this episode to other video games and other video game tropes. It was so much fun. I also want to point out that it once again addressed the insecurity that Dipper feels that I mentioned. Didn't seem like it fit his character much back in Dipper vs. Manliness, but, and you guys actually pointed this out after I made that review, it is a bigger part of his character than you would initially think. Retroactively, that wasn't bad characterization because Dipper is insecure. This is a kid who managed to fight off Sherlock Holmes in a sword fight without a proper sword. And he's not worried that he's going to hurt Robbie or do something that he's going to regret to Robbie. He's worried that Robbie's going to hurt him, which is just ridiculous. But this episode did have an undercurrent of fear and cowardice, a commentary on fear and cowardice. And we do see that when the main character from the video game, I can't remember his name or I'd use his name, when he starts to go berserk because he realizes that Dipper wasn't entirely honest with him, or rather that he couldn't understand what Dipper was saying, so Dipper had to lie to him. Dipper steps up and fights him and actually does a fairly good job of holding him off using brain over brawn. He proves that he is the kind of person who will face his fears and in fact won't even realize that he's afraid when it's really important, which is great. That's a great character trait. We have Stan trying to overcome his fear of heights and possibly Mabel developing one. We'll have to see if that's actually something they're going to stick with, which I guess was supposed to be a commentary on irrational fears. I don't know. I think falling from a high place is pretty rational myself, but... And then at the very end, when Dipper, just wanting all of this to be done, decided to let Robbie beat the crap out of him, we see that Robbie himself is a coward. He won't actually hit Dipper. He just wants to scare him and make him run. He's actually too afraid to hit him. The episode wasn't even overtly about it, and they still were able to talk about fear so in depth that they covered 3 different forms of it. It was great. And then, because Wendy cares about both of them so much, they decide to hate each other in silence. The way that girls do, as they put it in the episode, for her benefit, which proves that Robbie does care about her at least a little bit. Oh, and before I forget, the ending credits sequence where it was like they were on a character select screen for the Gravity Falls characters was great. I really enjoyed that. I really liked this episode. I thought it was fantastic, but I am about ready to get back to stuff with the journal, with what's going on with the journal. Maybe learn a little bit more about the other journal that we've seen. It feels like it's about time. We'll have to see come next episode if I'm right. As per usual, guys, I'd like to know if you have seen this episode. What did you think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.